Hello everyone, my name is Scoob and this is DCS 2.7. Sitting around and I thought, I got a few modules for DCS, so why don't I grab all the ones that are air-to-air refuel capable and see what I can do with them. So there are a few that I fly often and have practice air-to-air refueling, so those I'm pretty decent with them. Others I don't fly all that often. There's one at the end that I have never air-to-air refueled, so that was a struggle bus to say the least. So definitely stay tuned to see that shit show. So. But yeah, let's get started here. First up, we have the A10-2, or I'm sorry, the A10C2 tank killer. So we're going to take this guy up, and this is one of the few that I have practiced with this one maybe a handful of times. I'd say this is number 5 or 6 of air-to-air refueling. So getting ready to take off here, and let's see what happens. Alright, so we got tanker in sight. As you can see there's our initial position. So basically, this thing was loaded up with fuel, so most of these refuels aren't going to be too long at all, because there's a full tank of fuel in all of them except for the last one. Didn't spawn with a full tank, so so not too long on refuel. So we're gonna get her lined up here, and get ready to contact them for ready pre-contact. Fuel doors open. Alright, we're clear. So like I previously stated, this one I don't have too much practice with. This one's a little struggle for me, just because the refueling port is on the nose. So any sort of movement, especially with your elevators, it's more of a, I don't know how to say it. It's more reactive to what you're inputting on the stick. So there we go. A little hot there. Little PIO. And lost it. And I've noticed with this that this has happened to me a couple times. So I'll try to reconnect here. It's some weird bug or something where it'll go in the port, but they won't contact, and they won't refuel you. So see here is that it's chasing it, and I'm chasing the fuel probe, which really I shouldn't be doing, but it's not happening. So what I end up doing is I'm gonna try again here, and same thing's gonna happen. Sitting there just trying to force it in there. Get in there. So I abort rejoin, thinking, all right, maybe if I abort the rejoin and then recontact them, maybe that fixes it.
Texaco 1-1, Springfield 5-1, request rejoin. Springfield 5-1, Texaco 1-1, proceed to pre-contact at 9,000 at 200. Ready, pre-contact. Cleared contact.
All right, so bringing her back in here. And same issue. So what I end up doing, and what you can't see, is I close the fuel door and then reopen it. There it is. So some weird bug. I don't know if that happens for everyone, but that's definitely happened to me multiple times on different occasions. So just a weird thing. Yeah, end up PIO will pilot induce oscillation. So I ended up closing it again. I don't know if I did yet. Clearly I didn't. So I'll end up closing the door again, then reopening it. There we go. Ready lights on. There she is. So yeah, just some weird bug. Something weird, or something I'm doing wrong. As long as I don't lose that first connection, it's fine, but it's when I lose that connection. Alright, so there's the A-10, and let's head off to the next plane here. Alright, so next plane we got here, AV-8B Harrier. So this is one, I believe this is the second time ever attempting to air-to-air refuel with it. So this is a fun one. So we'll get up to the tanker here and see how she goes. Alright, coming up to the KC-135 here. Looks like we got another KC-135 about to cross. But yeah, let's get her up and see how she goes. Just working on trying to get her a little trimmed out. So not having to put so much input on the stick.
Ready for contact. Clear contact.
So this is a plane I honestly don't fly it enough. It's one I just always forget about. I definitely need to get in it more and figure some stuff out in it. Do some research on how to do this, because this one was really tough for me. Not being able to see the probe. I kept having to look, and I don't know if you're supposed to look at it or not, but Yeah, trying to get that in there while looking sideways at it. It's a little difficult. So yeah, I'll definitely have to do more research on how to refuel this thing. Little frame rate issue there. Good old Mariana's Island map. Try to get it in there last second. But it's where, you just take your time, don't get frustrated. A lot of patience needed. Just be persistent with it. And, it'll pay off, if you just practice. It's definitely not something, you hop in and you get it the first shot. That's just not how this works. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some sort of trick on what to look at, what to aim for without having to turn your head. And there, that was kind of cheating, but you know what? I'm gonna take it. Yeah, basically, once I get it connected, I usually focus on something. So right now, I'm focusing on the pod, on the 135's wing. And see, that was a full tank in this plane, so that refuel wasn't too long at all. But I'll focus on the pod and just try to keep it in one place. Kind of works for me. So that was the Harrier, so let's get into the next plane. Next up, the F16C. So this is a plane I actually fly quite a bit. It's just a fun plane to throw around and just do crazy stuff with. And it's pretty capable combat-wise. But as for air-to-air refueling, this is second time ever doing it in this plane, so... And trying to fly it in that view is not easy, so... let's get her up there and see how it goes. Coming up to the tanker. This one's a little different for me just because the refuel port is on the left side of the plane. Instead of like the F16, it's directly behind you, center of the plane. So on these ones, you end up using the guidance lights that are on the belly of the KC-135. That's when I had trouble seeing them. You're a little further away than say the F16, so it was a little harder for me to see the guidance lights. And also, I don't do a whole lot of formation stuff with this plane. At least I haven't yet, so I was actually just figuring out how touchy it is. Even with, I've went in and put custom curves on all the axes. But even with that, it was still a lot touchier than I thought it was going to be. But we got her connected. We're grabbing some fuel now.
Transfer complete.
And there we go.
Disconnect.
Not bad for a second time out, huh? So that's the F-15. Close the fuel door there and do some fancy stuff, and we'll head on to the next plane. All right, F16 the Viper. So this one is one of my favorite modules. Absolutely fun jet to fly. I love it. Air-to-air refuel. I've done quite a few. This is, I want to say, the first plane I've successfully air-to-air refueled. So it was the first one that I practiced with. But ton of fun to fly. Love it. So coming up to the tanker here, and should be able to get her connected and get some fuel.
Ready, recontact.
10 minutes remaining until reset. The story of my DCS life. So you can see here with the Viper, you're more under the plane than with the F16. Seeing that the refuel port's directly behind you, it's a little further back. So you got a little better view of those guidance lights. So decided to straighten out on me. So that's one thing I wish they would communicate with you through the radios. At least some sort of warning, something saying that, hey, we're gonna be making a left turn, or hey, we're straightening out, something just to pre-warn you, to get you ready for it. But that's all right. It is what it is, and we got it figured out here. Get her lined up. There we go.
You're taking fuel. Transfer complete.
And again, full tank when I took off, so not a very long refuel there. I'll get that fuel door closed. We're gonna charge it up, and we'll move on to the next plane. Next up on the roster, F16 Tomcat. This is the B variant. Another plane I absolutely love to fly. This was the second module I ever bought for DCS, first being the F16. I fly this plane quite a bit as well, but as for air-to-air refueling, this is the fourth time, I believe, doing an air-to-air refuel ever. So, we'll get this beast up in the air, get her to the tanker, and see how she goes.
We've got a friendly flying gas station, 9 o'clock high, 13 miles.
Getting up to the tanker now. So, when I said fourth air-to-air refuel, I didn't mean it ever. I actually meant successful. I have plenty of attempts trying to refuel this thing, even being a somewhat experienced with the F16 and the other planes. This one, I had a very tough time getting a grasp on, because it's such a large and heavy plane that you're going relatively slow with, and it was very spongy. It was hard to keep it very precise until I saw a video where a guy said, put the wings in bomb mode so the maneuvering flaps don't do their thing. So when those flaps are moving around, it's going to throw your trim off. You're going to have to correct for it. So that's definitely one thing that, thank God I found that video, because that made, it was a night and day difference. I definitely recommend it. If you're having trouble with the Tomcat on air-to-air refuel, put the wings in bomb mode. It's something you can map in your bindings, so definitely give that a shot. But another thing, putting the fuel probe out actually affects the plane as well. It creates drag on the right side, so you gotta correct for that too as you're refueling, which I kind of like. It seems like it would be realistic. You got this big old plate, sticking out over there. That would definitely create drag.
Just a bit to the left.
Thanks, Jester. You're the best. You see I'm struggling here a little bit. Still figuring it out, It's not, you get her one time and then you just know it, It takes a lot of practice. There we go.
Suck 'em dry.
Oh, dear God, Jester. Wow. Yeah, it's one.
Fuel 13,500.
Thanks, buddy. It's one thing I like about Jester. I like those callouts of fuel. You don't have to look down at your fuel gauge, even though it's clearly visible there. But my eyes aren't focused on the fuel gauge. I'm focusing on the fuel pod. Like I said earlier, I usually look at the pod and try to keep it in one spot. That's just what's been working for me.
Fuel 15,000.
But his little witty comments, he has some really good ones in there.
Fuel 16,000.
Transfer complete. Disconnect.
There we go. Not too shabby.
Full.
Yeah, she is, Jester. Thanks, buddy. I'll ignore the times that you're a useless pile of crap. Alright, so that was the Tomcat. Here comes the fancy stuff, and we'll move on to the next. And the next contender on the roster, the F-18 Hornets. So this was purchased, I want to say it was one of my later modules. Usually everyone flocks to this one first. It's definitely one of the most common modules, but yeah, really good jet, fun to fly. So we'll get her up there and get her some fuel. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Bum 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 dun dun dun. Had to show that off. Coming up to the KC-130 here. So, learning to refuel the Hornet was definitely a learning curve. Coming from the Viper, you know, with the Viper, with the fuel probe, you know, the probe will kind of, you know, it'll chase the port. So you just got to hold it still, and then, you know, the probe operator, I don't know what their official name is, but, you know, they do the rest and get you going. This, you know, you're lining up to the basket, you know, same with the Hornet and the Harrier. But yeah, it was definitely a learning curve. Definitely took a lot of practice, a ton of trial, and a crap ton of error. So got the probe out here and get close enough, call ready pre-contact, and get her some go-go juice. Fuel. Go-go juice is fuel. So on this one, it doesn't seem like the probe affects the plane. If it does, I definitely don't notice it. Not like the Tomcat. So I don't know if it's just not modeled in there or if it's just aerodynamic enough that it really doesn't affect the plane. Not too sure. And of course he decides to turn. I still struggle with turns, but getting better at them. You know, practice makes perfect. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Now just paying attention to that pod on the wing there and just trying to keep it in place. Doesn't always work, but do the best you can. When in doubt, throttle it out. Another refuel, it's not terribly long. So, a lot of practice in that one, so that one's not too hard for me. anymore, so that's good. So there's the fancy stuff. There's that howl that everyone loves. That's a great noise. So on to the last plane here, and this one's a doozy. So if you made it this far, congratulations. I know it's a longer video, so let's get to the next plane here. Well, if you have made it this far, I'd like to congratulate and thank you. It's a long video. Last plane of this adventure, the Sukhoi 33. You know, 3 words come to mind when I fly this plane. Trim, and oh yeah, trim. These planes, along with the flanker, the 27, Sukhoi 27, very trim happy. But, you know, they're a ton to fly. They're very different from, you know, what I'm normally flying. So, we'll get this, this good old Russian jet up to the tanker there and see if we can figure this thing out. I have never refueled this plane, so this is a very first. So let's see how this goes. Alright, so we got the fuel probe coming out, which looks like household plumbing. But definitely a different looking probe there. So coming up to the tanker. This jet I struggle with. It's a very different jet to fly, but a whole lot of fun. On reading anything in here. I don't speak Russian, can't read Russian, so I can't read any of this. So I'm just kind of guessing, just visually looking at the tanker and trying to match its speed. You know, good old American dude that doesn't know metrics. Other than the 10mm socket that I keep losing.
Ready, pre-contact. Cleared contact.
Like on the ground, if you contact ATC, it's a Russian dude. But in the air, refueling with an American, you know, tanker, full on English. So that's something I didn't know this thing did. It's got a looks like a refueling mode. So that little circle, I'm assuming, is trying to help me, you know, it's trying to guide me in. That's what I'm gathering from it. I just don't know where you're supposed to put that. Are you supposed to put that in the center of the cross? Like right about there and try to hold it? I don't know. It's my first ever attempt trying to, you know, air-to-air refuel this thing, so just winging it. Pun fully intended. Man, she is touchy. But damn, look at that. First try. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. But now the trick is holding it. You can see she's kind of drifting around a little bit. Trying to feel her out and see how much input she's going to need to keep her steady. And also with throttle control. It's usually with like, if you listen on like the F16 and the F18, you can hear the engines just ever so slightly going up and down. And I'm literally using like my thumb and pointer finger on the throttle, just going, you know, adding throttle, pulling it back and whatnot. This, I'm still trying to figure it out. So far, we're not doing too bad here. Not too shabby. Walking around on me a little bit. I'm also in the corner of my eye, I'm looking at that tanker's elevators here, the horizontal stabilizers, because man, they look close. Trying not to smack them. We're looking pretty good so far. I'm happy with this. And the turn in a plane I've never refueled before. Oh man. This is where she starts to get a little hairy. I'm overreacting with the throttle. Putting too much, taking too much out. Same with the roll control on the ailerons. But, I mean, that's kind of what it takes, you know, for the first time, you know, just trying to figure this thing out. And this refuel, by far the longest refuel. This plane didn't spawn with full tank, so she was, I wouldn't say half tank. I didn't even look, but with not a full tank plus using burner, getting up to the tanker, yeah, she's pretty thirsty.
Transfer complete.
Not bad. Not bad. That's a great success there. I like that. Now, thing with this jet is once you flip the fuel probe switch to go back in, it actually stays out for 2 minutes. And I actually had to read on this because I thought that it was broken. I was like, what did I do? Am I not pushing the right button? But it stays out for 2 minutes to purge the lines out. So glad I read that, because I was like, I'm definitely doing something wrong here. So I'm not gonna make you sit through 2 minutes of me flying like a dumbass. So we'll come back when that fuel probe goes in. Fuel probe going in. So if you're still here, thank you. These aren't monetized. I do them as a hobby. You know, it's fun to record and you know, make videos. So I appreciate if you're still here. Thank you for watching. We're in a Sukhoi. Let's do some fun stuff. Let's get them engines up and end it off with some Cobras.
Minimum speed. 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 Minimum speed.
What a beautiful, beautiful bird. Cobras are just, it's amazing. It's a lot of fun. So get out there, do some air refueling. Let's get too fast in this thing. Let's pull a Cobra. Let's rip the wings off. Take them off. There they go. Gone. Let's eject. And we're dead. Done. So, again, I said it before, but if you made it this long, it's an hour-long video. I know engaging somebody for that long is very unlikely. So if you're still here and you're hearing this, I appreciate you. You know, these aren't monetized. I do these for fun. You know, I had a lot of fun making this, you know, recording everything, editing, you know, I've had a blast. So thank you for being here. Thank you for checking out the channel. If you like anything you see, feel free to subscribe or don't. I mean, up to you. There's no pressure. So thanks again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Have a great day.